Hey guys, Rick here at Heelan Field Farm. Today let's talk about some differences between ducks and chickens. And a lot of people have some misconceptions about ducks, that they're dirty, their meat's oily, their eggs taste funny. And that's not entirely true. They can be dirty depending on the size of the area they're in and how many ducks you have. Their meat, it's not necessarily an oily taste. It can, but there's more to it than that. Okay, and then there's quite a few differences, and I'm not saying one bird's better than another because they both have their pros and cons. But these are just some differences, and maybe it'll help you in your decision on raising ducks. So, first off, the meat. It does have a strong flavor. It is similar to red meat, and it is more fatty than, say, a chicken, where a chicken's more lean, and it is 100% dark meat. A duck is 100% dark meat, whereas a turkey would be, some dark, some white, chicken mostly white. So there is a big difference there, and it's not, duck meat isn't for everybody. It's not my favorite kind of meat. I would prefer chicken personally. So, but if you're gonna raise some meat birds, it might be a nice difference to add that in. Instead of having chicken or pork all the time, you can have duck once in a while. So, they will keep your bugs, the bugs down in your garden. If you do this though, put them in a mature garden. Don't put them in, the week after you put all your seedlings in, because they're just going to stomp down on them and they'll end up killing the plants. But put them in, a couple months in, they'll go in, they'll eat any pests, any bugs. They won't hurt your plants generally. They'll help fertilize your plants. So it's kind of a win-win there, all right? Whereas if you put a chicken in there, they're going to scratch, they're going to tear up, they're going to eat some of the plants, and have a mess, and you lose some of your crop. So ducks are much gentler on the ground. So if you have ducks in a pen, they're going to scratch, they're going to dig up roots, dig up bugs, and if you leave them in there a month, you're basically going to have a little wasteland wherever your chickens have been. Where ducks, they will eat some greens. They won't decimate it though. They're more looking for bugs and insects. They will drill holes with their beaks, which will actually in turn help aerate your soil. Whereas the chickens, if left alone, they will decimate that area. So, they don't take dust baths like chickens, so they're not going to be rolling around in the dirt and trying to tear up sections of greenery to get to the dirt either. So they are much gentler on your land as a whole. So the ducks are much more hardier. They on average have a body temperature of about 107 degrees, which means their body is basically designed to fight off disease, because bacteria generally doesn't live at that temperature. So they're more resilient to disease and parasites. Most diseases that chickens get, ducks won't get at all. And they're much more tolerant of the weather, because that's how they're made. Their feathers, they're waterproof. They're made to be in water. They're kind of built for kind of a colder climate, whereas chickens are not. They have feathers to keep them warm, but they also need to stay dry pretty much all the time. So, a duck can survive in the cooler temperatures being full grown, whereas chickens struggle to be outside in frigid temperatures, so and wet areas. Ducks are much more quiet than chickens, so male ducks don't quack. They make almost like a weird little humming sound. And female ducks, they don't make all that ruckus when they're laying an egg. So if you're in an area where you can't have roosters because of noise concerns, that may be a good solution for you, because the male ducks won't quack. They're not noisy. In general, they're just not very noisy. They will talk to each other, but they're not super, super, super loud. So unless there's a predator or something around, and they might get a little loud, but that's really the exception there. So their eggs are much larger than a chicken's. They are higher in fat, and they have a much more rich taste. Now, I prefer chicken eggs. You know, that's how I was brought up, just like pretty much everyone else in the world, is you eat chicken eggs. And to me, you know, I prefer them. So, but that being said, you know, duck eggs are a lot better in baking foods, and I'm totally fine using those eggs for that purpose. But when it comes to making an omelet or something, I do prefer the chicken eggs. They don't need nesting boxes. Ducks don't need nesting boxes, and they don't need a roost. So they want to stay low on the ground. They just need, you know, some good dry bedding, straw or shavings. And, you know, they obviously do need some kind of structure to get in from the extreme inclement weather. But they don't need to roost. They don't need boxes to lay their eggs. They will pretty much lay eggs wherever they want, unless they do get broody and want to make a nest and all that. But in general, they'll lay it early morning, pretty much before your chickens even get up, and then you can go out and without doubt, you know, get your eggs first thing in the morning. However, they will not lay all year long like a chicken will. They will stop laying entirely in the winter months, and can even be sporadic when they are laying during the year. So you may have a day here and there where you don't get an egg from a duck, whereas chickens, you get them every day, you know, up to like 300 days a year. But ducks, you're going to get a lot less eggs. So if you're going into any kind of like duck egg business or something, that's something to keep in mind, that you're not going to have an inventory of that during the winter months. So, and the last thing I'll say is, you know, what's really, it's kind of funny and really nice about the ducks is if you're the first thing that they see when they're born, they're going to imprint on you. And chickens don't do this, just ducks. And basically, you're their mom for the rest of their life. And they're going to follow you around, and, you know, they're going to be with you. And they have great personalities. They're much smarter than chickens. And, you know, it's just a really cool thing that, you know, they bond with you like that. Whereas chickens, they don't really bond with you. They don't necessarily care to be handled. Some breeds better than others. And, you know, generally if you go in a chicken coop, they're all running away from you unless you got that feed scoop. And then, you know, that's really the only time they're coming near you. Whereas the duck, they're very social animals, will follow you around the farm and everything else. So there's just some differences. Hopefully it will help you guys make some decisions, or, you know, give you some facts, and you can, maybe you were leaning towards ducks or chickens, maybe you want to do both, but there are pros and cons to both. I hope this has been helpful and you guys have been able to get some stuff out of it. Please subscribe to our channel and continue to follow us on our journey, and have a good day.